Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today the Atlanta Falcons have shocked the world. What are we talking about? Well, the Atlanta Falcons shocked the world by making one of the most stunning NFL draft picks, at least I have seen in my lifetime. They drafted Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback out of Washington, with the 8th overall pick. The reason this is so stunning and shocking, as you guys know, they gave Kirk Cousins just about 6 weeks ago a 4-year, $180 million contract with $100 million guaranteed. That is a huge financial commitment to the quarterback position. And now they just made a huge draft commitment to the quarterback position by acquiring Michael Penix. Okay. So before I kind of get into like part of the reason that this is so shocking, because we kind of know we know the plan here, or the hypothetical plan for the Falcons here. You have a veteran quarterback, you draft a young guy, a rookie quarterback, you have this guy sit behind the veteran for a few years, and then you eventually uh, move the young guy into the starting position after a few years. Okay. Before we get to that, I just wanted to talk about why this might have happened. Why did the Falcons go here? So, theory one is that, one, it's that they do have a new head coach in Raheem Morris. Maybe Raheem Morris fell in love with Michael Penix Jr. and maybe had a lot of power in the draft room, which I don't think is the case, because they didn't, when the Falcons were making their head coaching hiring, they didn't want a head coach that had a lot of power in the draft room, which is why they were not interested in Bill Belichick, and they didn't want a coach that was that heavy, had a heavy influence on or tried to have a heavy influence on roster building. So I don't think that is the case. Could this be a weird Terry Fontenot pick? So Terry Fontenot has been the GM for the Atlanta Falcons for 4 years now. Okay. So he's been controlling 4 drafts for the Atlanta Falcons. What have we known about the Atlanta Falcons? They draft in the first round like they are drafting for a fantasy football team. They're drafting for a dynasty fantasy football team. In 2021, with the 4th pick, they draft Kyle Pitts. The next year, they have another top 10 pick. They get Drake London, the wide receiver from Ohio State. Then the next year, top 10 pick, B. John Robinson, running back, Texas. Now this year, Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, Washington. Kind of weird roster building. And it's not like the Falcons have been like an absolute dumpster fire, but they have had 4 consecutive top 10 picks. So maybe trying to do dynasty fantasy football roster building isn't necessarily the best solution here. But here is like my best theory as to why the Falcons did something like this. And TV shows like Succession, or even there's probably some different movies that have done this too, where they can really point out like how rich people think, people that have like, more money than they know what to do with, where sometimes rich people might just be out in the town, they see like a car and they're like, "Oh, I want one of those, but I want it in orange." And they can kind of just point at things and be like, "I want that." And that's kind of why like a lot of, rich people buy professional sports teams, and then they try to do that thing where they can point at something and be like, "I want that." And usually when they try and do that, they try and fail. This is kind of happening with the Suns in the NBA. Matt Ishbia takes over the Suns and he's like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, I want Kevin Durant. I don't care what we're giving up. We'll give up everything. Ooh, 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 I also want Bradley Beal. Okay, I don't care if we're giving rid of everything we possibly can." And maybe this is a situation here with Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, where he's like looks at around the NFL and he sees a Patrick Mahomes and he's like, "Ooh, ooh, I want that." Sees Jordan Love, he's like, "Oh, I want that." Looks at what Aaron Rodgers did in the past, where he sits behind a veteran quarterback. "Ooh, I want that." That's my only theory here as to why the Falcons would do something like that. The only problem with that theory, guys, is I'm going to tell you guys the ages of these other quarterbacks. So let's just do the 2 most recent guys that sat for a few years or 1 year, and then they eventually came on the scene and they became awesome. So Jordan Love, and I'm talking about like sitting like an entire year. I know there's guys that have sat a little bit and have ended up being pretty good, but like guys like Lamar Jackson did play a little bit their first year. So Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes, when they were both drafted to the Packers and the Chiefs, they were 21 years old. Guys, Michael Penix Jr., I looked up his birthday. He's about to turn 24 in the next like 10 days, 10, 12 days. That he's going to be 24 years old. Just going to give you a few other quarterback ages. So now Jordan Love is 25 years old, by the way. Patrick Mahomes is 27, 28 years old. The guys that were taken last year in the draft, Bryce Young, 22 years old. CJ Stroud, 22 years old. Anthony Richardson, 21 years old. JJ McCarthy, right now, 20 years old. Okay. So what's the plan here with Michael Penix? He's 24 years old. So if Kirk Cousins plays out that full 4-year contract until the age of 40, then the idea is to have Michael Penix start when he's 28. It just doesn't make sense to me. The idea of drafting a guy that sits behind a quarterback for a year or a few years is that, hey, this guy has the talent, but he's very raw. He might not have that much experience. He's got an arm, but we need to adjust his throwing motion. That's what happened with Aaron Rodgers. That was a huge thing that the Packers coaching staff did with Aaron Rodgers. They completely changed his throwing motion into the beautiful throwing motion that we know today. But the thing is with Michael Penix, this dude's ready to go, man. This guy's been playing college for 4 years. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. Even with 2 major leg surgeries, the dude, I think, still has over like 40 starts or close to 40 starts in college. That's a lot of starts. This guy doesn't need to sit. Now, does he need to sit maybe like a few games, maybe half a season, maybe 1 year? Sure. I'm okay with that. But for this, the financial commitment that you gave Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix is sitting multiple years. He is sitting multiple years. Unless he is just flat out awesome and beats out Kirk Cousins like right away or within a year. So this just is absolutely one of the craziest draft picks that I don't understand the logic of it. It would make more sense if it was like, JJ McCarthy, who's literally, like I said, 20 years old, and you have Kirk Cousins play for 4 more years. JJ McCarthy comes in at like 23, 24 years old, and he's ready to roll. The age that Michael Penix is now. An absolute stunner, guys. Another thing, too, to add on to this. This will be the last thing that I might talk about the quarterbacks here for a second. Also, too, if you like this video so far, hit that like button. Maybe leave a comment on what you think about the draft pick, and also hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out in the algorithm. Kirk Cousins, to get back to topic here, Kirk Cousins was reported by Daniel Jeremiah that he was not contacted about this, was not given any heads up, which when it comes to like keeping the players informed about every single little decision that you're going to do, like drafting a quarterback or things like that, I am not necessarily the guy that's like, how dare the Atlanta Falcons not give Kirk Cousins a heads up, or how dare the Green Bay Packers not inform the prestigious Aaron Rodgers that they're going after quarterback. I'm not that type of person because I think that's kind of silly. Because are you supposed to tell them like 10 minutes before? If they tell them 10 minutes before, you're like, hey, why didn't you give me a heads up? If you tell them before the draft, hey, we might get a quarterback in the first round, we like Jordan Love. All of a sudden the quarterback's going to be watching. It's like, well, you didn't say you're going to get him. Then you're just watching the draft like all nervous. It's the same thing with like NBA players when they're like, you traded me and you didn't tell me. And it's like, did you really want to be up to date on all the different trading things? Do you want to know how they were shopping you with like 4 different teams, how they offered up this package for you, and you thought like, no, we need, that's not enough, like, just little things like that. You wouldn't want to hear that stuff. So sometimes like I think it's more virtue signaling of like, I didn't hear anything or you didn't tell me, because you know how the business works, especially if you're a guy that's been in the league for a while. I'm not saying that's what Kirk Cousins is doing here, but I don't necessarily feel that bad for him. The way I do feel bad for him is the dude's only been signed with the team for 6 weeks. So, and two, with when you looked at Michael Penix's draft stock, people were talking about today that this dude could drop to the second round. People were talking about him dropping to the second round today. Because I do listen to a lot of NFL draft stuff, little draft preview stuff. A lot of people are saying like, hey, this might be the guy that's 6th off the board. Like quarterback off the board, not overall. This might be a guy that like, falls a little bit, might fall to the second round. Knee injuries. Multiple knee injuries, multiple knee surgeries. So the fact that he got taken with that pick, just with like the Falcons should have, if they knew that they liked Michael Penix so much, this wasn't a thing like even like the Jordan Love thing with the Packers. It was kind of like, oh crap, he fell this far and we really like him. We'll trade up for him. That was kind of like that was even the Aaron Rodgers thing originally. It was like, hey, this guy kind of fell into our laps. No. The Michael Penix thing, this was planned. This wasn't a like, oh my God, Michael Penix is available at 8. Whoa, lucky us. It wasn't one of those things. This was a thing that they were planning for a long time, or must have been planning for a very long time if they were going to draft Michael Penix with the 8th pick, because every single mock draft that you guys probably looked at out there, whether you're a fan of the Falcons or any other team, they had Michael Penix available at 8. They might have, a lot of them probably had him available at 18 or 28. So again, I like Michael Penix. I think he was probably the best pure passer in the draft, but I don't think this is a guy that has to sit 4 years. And this is the situation that he sees himself in. And I know we'll find out the story about this pick probably in the next days or weeks. I'm recording this. I don't even know if the draft's up yet. I'm recording this 10:16 my time. I don't even know if the first round's up yet. It's probably getting pretty close. There's probably going to be a story of like how the Falcons ended up deciding to get this pick, but an absolute stunner here. The Falcons draft Michael Penix Jr., who is 24 years old, who, while they have Kirk Cousins under contract the next 4 years. So absolute stunner, guys. So that is going to do it for this episode. If you got this far in the episode, like I said earlier, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Leave your comments on your opinion about this draft pick. Is this crazy? Is this smart? What do you think about this? I saw RG3 tweet earlier that this was a smart move. I disagree, just because you're talking about Michael Penix is going to potentially get his first start when he's 28. Again, the guys I was talking about. Jordan Love got his first start when he's 24, 25. Patrick Mahomes, 22 years old. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud are 22 years old right now. Anthony Richardson's 21 years old. So there you have it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit that sub button, hit that like. Go ahead and explore the Sports Detective Podcast channel page. Maybe you'll find some other videos that you like. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you next time.